NANUCELLA Boots, born out of Georgia, bred for the apocalypse. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. I am Dale of Dale's Leatherworks, and I'm extremely excited, and so is Axel, extremely excited for this video today, because in today's video, I'm going to be talking about this incredible new pair of NANUCELLA boots from my friends over at NANUCELLA. And first and foremost, I wanted to just showcase the amazing bag that these came with. I was not expecting this. This is like a shoulder tote or a European carry-all, or however you would like to describe it. It's definitely a leather bag, big enough to house boots, but also large enough to accommodate other things, obviously. So let's open her up. Let's get a look at these monsters. Look at these things. My first thoughts when I looked at this boot company was they must be a prop designer for the film industry, because when I looked at these boots in particular, I said these belong on a Mad Max set and or some sort of cyberpunk scene. These are easily at home with cyberpunk. I could easily see these in, say, a Blade Runner wardrobe, costume design, Mad Max, Fifth Element, all the post-apocalyptic sci-fi type settings you could envision these boots being in. And that goes for a lot of their builds. Some of their builds are more simple, more approachable, but when I saw these, they just spoke to me. First off, I'm just such a big fan of a square toe. You don't see them that often. You don't see square toes done very often. And a lot of people don't like them, but I think when they're done in a premium leather with premium construction, I think they're actually kind of attractive. What comes to mind is Gabbard at Creosote. He's got that nail shank boot that's just squared and just aggressive and masculine, and it's not apologizing for it. I absolutely love it. Before I really get started, huge thanks to my buddy John at The Happiness Carpenter. He's become a good friend of mine over the years.
My least break-up, most comfortable boots I got are my NANUCELLA Classics. Very acquired taste. They're very cool and very different. I saw them, I think, on Instagram and bought a pair. That was the first pair that was purchased and shipped in the United States. NANUCELLA is from Brooklyn, New York. The boots are handmade back in the old country of Georgia by family members. The customer service is amazing. Gabi, the owner, deals with you direct. They're made to order. You know, you do all your foot measurements and he helps you with that. And that first pair I got, I was just amazed at. Wow. NANUCELLA. That is really nice. Looks like it's gonna have a strap that goes with it. Wow, incredible. This is gonna be the new model. Very nice bag with a NANUCELLA leather tag there. Here they are. NANUCELLA. I'm loving that big round toe.
During my talk with John, otherwise known as the Happiness Carpenter on YouTube, he brought up NANUCELLA. I had never heard of this brand before. They are based out of New York, but they are a Georgian family, so I don't know a whole lot about the story, but what I do know is John is basically, I think, their first customer, which is interesting. It appears that they have a shop in Brooklyn, New York City, so it's a physical shop. You could actually drop in and shop there. I'm not sure where it's at, but it looks like a very nicely curated boutique sort of a shop. Watching John's videos on NANUCELLA, he gave me a lot of insights into sort of the behind the scenes as to what's going on with this brand, because they're not very aggressive with their public outreach. They like to let their products sort of speak for themselves, which is totally cool. This leather is sort of different, and I would characterize it as a leather that you'd see at a high-end leather shop at the mall. The smell that it has definitely has like a boutique high-end mall smell to it. Now, this brand also makes their own fragrances and colognes, and so what I'm getting is like a hint of vanilla coming off of these boots. They just may have imbued some of their aromas into the product to make it smell better. According to John, and this seems to ring true, the leather that they use is veg tan that they source locally within Georgia, the country of Georgia, not the state where I lived for a while. I don't recommend it. I might have a different opinion on it nowadays, but when I was there, it's just all fast food. It was basically a food desert where I was at. Very difficult to get access to like good quality organic food, and if you know me, I'm like sort of a health freak, and I hate fried fast food. It's hell for me. I gained a ton of weight. I wasn't at my healthiest in Georgia, but aside from that, the people were all right. What's cool about most of the upper is it's going to be a waxed flesh. It's fully lined with what appears to be very nice, probably a kip lining or a lambskin. It's very, very fine stuff. What's super cool is just all the busyness that's going on. The toe cap is a smooth out leather, and there is a lot of artistry going on here. Okay, so I'm gonna do my best. This is the first time I've ever reviewed a boot like this. I'm gonna give it my best shot because a lot of the visual effects on these boots are cosmetic in nature to give them a very rugged look. Once again, I'm thinking Mad Max, I'm thinking post-apocalyptic, dystopian future that we're obviously headed towards. But even fresh out of the box, they did a lot of work to sort of pre-distress the boots to give it an appropriate look. Once again, I could see these appearing in a movie, on set, A-list actors wearing something like this. So as you can see, that the outsole has been pre-distressed as well. There's a lot of really gnarly striations that were deliberately cut into the outsole just to give it that look like, yeah, I've had grenades thrown at me and I've fallen, I've run through desert and I've been shot at sort of look. They've attempted to blow me up several times and I'm still kicking. My arm, I have a bionic arm, but the rest of me is totally fine sort of look. The smooth out on the back heel stay and the cap toe is, I could tell it's hand dyed, and I could tell that they gave it an effect to give fading and artificial patina, which is really neat. Yeah, same on the back heel stay. And then this heavily waxed rough out portion, which comprises the rest of the boot. So the remainder of the vamp here, the quarter here, as well as the triple strap system here, which also includes a boot strap. This boot strap extends, intersects, it goes beneath the boot through this little safe slot here to where this boot strap isn't going to come in contact with the ground. It's really brilliantly designed, the way that the whole configuration comes together. It's so crazy, I don't even know where to start really. I did put these on. The fit is perfect. It's a flawlessly good fit. Full disclosure, I actually don't know what size they gave me because they requested my foot measurements. I gave them my length, my instep, all that. And I think they might have even developed the last. And their lasting process is free, by the way, which is absolutely out of this world insane. I've never heard of somebody doing lasting for free. That's just crazy. NANUCELLA, you could charge for that service. I hope you do in the future. I'm not gonna lie, getting these on is a bit of a task, but I'm okay with that because of just how cool they are. Like, come on, we're all boot nerds. We enjoy interacting with our boots, so why wouldn't we put in an additional minute or two into getting our boots on? Yeah, it's great to slip a boot on, and it's great to have speed hooks and all that. But let's be honest, it's also fun to get into a boot that requires multiple steps. So in order to get into this boot, you have to undo all 3 straps. I'm sorry, they're not cosmetic straps. They absolutely, all 3 of these boot straps must be unfastened, and you have to also undo some of the laces as well. Then you get your foot in there. My foot got in there beautifully. Beautiful fit. At first glance, I thought these were a little big, but once I got them on, it's like there's a lot going on with this boot that's cosmetic, including this square toe is deliberately designed to be cosmetically chunky. And so don't let looks deceive. When I compared these up against my Grantstone field boot in size 8E, they were identical. In fact, here we go. Grantstone field boot snuff reverse kudu 8E. NANUCELLA's size, I don't know, but the heels lined up. So as you can see from my angle, yeah, heel to toe, completely the same dimensions. Yeah, so I'll get into my correspondence with them as well, but yeah, they really nailed my sizing perfectly. The width is going to be difficult to compare because of the shapes, but they feel superb on my foot. And I am super neurotic when I send in my foot sizes because I oftentimes get sized wrong by the maker. NANUCELLA absolutely nailed it. Nailed the size. I can't emphasize that enough. Very impressed when they were able to do that. This is a really busy boot. A lot of effort would have had to go into these. Full disclosure, these are gonna run around the $700 and $800 range, but I mean, these are handmade, and just look at all the work involved in these. You don't even have to be quasi-educated to look at this and say, that took a lot of effort. Whoever made this boot put a lot of work into this. So let's start from the bottom, the absolute bottom. So this sole, I don't even know what you'd call it because it's not an outsole. There are pieces to this sole. We've got the heel cap. We've got another segment of the heel cap here. We've got the full heel cap layer, which these 2 pieces get nailed into, right? The nails going up. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 strips of rubber all nailed down. I'm sure there's a technical word for that, but I just don't know it. All nailed by hand down. So that's the absolute outsole, which just lends itself to such an amazing aesthetic when you look at it from the side profile. Alright guys, editing me is back. So I've been talking to the folks at NANUCELLA a little bit more about the build that I am currently wearing. Okay, so first and foremost, the sole type. I asked him if there's a specific term for this type of sole because I've never seen it before. He's not aware of an official term, but he calls it a rib sole. I think that's a really good word for it. I asked about the welt construction, whether it was Goodyear welted or Blake stitched. I thought they were Goodyear welted, but he says it has a 360-degree welt. And then from the midsole, it is Blake stitched by hand. The midsole and insole are stitched together. The outsole and rubber part is glued and nailed, so it's easy to resole. He said the heel stack is nailed from the inside, so you don't ever get a poke from the nail, which is amazing because, yeah, most makers do nail it from the outside, the nail facing your heel. He said the welt stitching on the boot, on my boot, is cosmetic. The Blake stitch is the one that holds the construction together, similar to the belt and the belt on the toe. He said we also do stitch down construction, Goodyear welt construction, but 80% of the time we do Blake construction. All stitching is done by hand, which you know is a nightmare and takes a lot of time. Even more credit goes to the folks at NANUCELLA for their insane construction methods. We've got 2 stacks of a leather outsole and midsole, which are distressed, which are painted over, and are super duper thick and chunky. And then in the heel stack, there's a 3rd layer of veg tan. Overall in the sole, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 separate pieces total in the outsole that they built by hand. Okay, 11. All right, let's take Truman, for example, one of my favorite boot companies. A normal makeup has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pieces. This has 11. All right, that's a lot. They're going above and beyond. These Wolverine 1,000 miles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, 5 total pieces on the outsole. It's even easier when you're going for a wedge. You got 1, 2, 3. You got vegetan insole, midsole, and the cream wedge outsole. Simple, 3 pieces. Compare that to 11 pieces. That's a lot. Are they worth it for this price? Yes, absolutely. Obviously, if they're handmade and you see all these, you see the sole alone is that complicated, obviously it's worth it. Now, let's graduate up. We've got this additional layer on the cap toe. Yes, that's a second layer on the cap toe. And then we have this additional piece, totally unnecessary, but they did it because it's stylish and cool looking. They did this additional strip of waxed flesh to augment the cap toe. Look cool. That's crazy. I'm not used to a boot that's got this much aesthetics built into it. Most of the boots I've reviewed up till now are purely functional. They're not so much form, they're function. I'm kind of out of my element when I'm reviewing a boot that's much more on the fashion forward side, and this is what John Bristol at the Happiness Carpenter said. He said, you know, a lot of guys knock NANUCELLA because they're fashion forward as opposed to mostly rudimentary and functional, which is what I typically review. But this is just so much fun getting into this because when it comes to boots, your options are limitless, and this is truly an example of limitless. They're taking it to a new level. Next we have the boot strap. It goes up, it intersects with this adjustment strap around the instep. Then we have 2 ankle straps here, and let me undo this. Okay, so obviously now we're peeling back layers and we're seeing more detail, which they definitely don't spare us on. I'm gonna undo some of this lacing too. When we get this open, we can see this area right here along the shaft. That's really cool, binding these 2 seams. So now that I look at it, this stitching isn't even functional. This stitching is purely cosmetic. What they do is they cut this seam and then they stitch it back together. They cut it just to stitch it back together, deliberately, just to look cool. That is so cool that they did that. They did it on the other side. They cut this seam right here. They could have left it alone, but they didn't. They said, nope, we're going to make a ton of extra work, but it's going to look cool. So they cut down and they stitched that together. The cuts at the throat are really interesting. So as you can see, we've got this square notch cut out, and then we've got this notch extending up, and it's congruent with the pull tab in the back, and it is once again the same on this side. Really stylish, really boxy. They're really leaning into that boxiness. And then my favorite part is the tongue. It's partially gusseted up. It's gusseted up to about the 4th eyelet. They have a NANUCELLA branded patch right there, stitched in just to let you know who made it. But that's not the only place that they did that. Let me undo this boot strap here. So this boot strap here, the instep strap, pull that out, whoop, can come out. So once you take that off, you also see NANUCELLA on the bottom there. Insane. And then here's what the boot looks like with all the straps pulled back. The back heel stay is also very artistically and deliberately chiseled and cut in such a way to give it that real cool retro steampunk look. Is the smooth out and also deliberately distressed. The back heel stay. I talk a lot about back heel stays on this channel. This back heel stay is no normal back heel stay. This back heel stay is stitched in such a way as to accommodate 3 separate adjustment strap. I've never seen anything like it. A typical back heel stay just starts at the bottom, gets stitched all the way up, it's fine. This one had to do box stitches in several segments and leave room so that an adjustment strap could slide through there. Once again, another area that could have easily been messed up by an amateur craftsman. But we're not dealing with amateur craftsmen here. We're dealing with expert visionary craftsmen. I'm just blown away by everything that went into the design of these. I haven't even gotten to the bag yet, but you can see that the bag is very much built in the same spirit. It's obviously veg tan, hand dyed, smooth, like a nice chestnut tan color going on. Also NANUCELLA branding on it. They didn't skimp on this either. We've got 2 adjustment straps for the front, the inside, unlined, very cool. It's got a leather bottom to it for extra support. I absolutely love that. The level of workmanship here and artistry here, I really can't overstate. I'm just blown away by all of it. Let me go through my correspondence with NANUCELLA because I think I learned a lot through talking to them directly. I told them that I really liked the look of their square-toed boot, and then they were very responsive. They said, and this is going back to April, by the way. This is how long this pair has been in the works. They asked for my measurements. They also sent me a picture that my own Dale's Leatherworks Kilties made it into a pair of their boots, which was really neat. So I gave them my measurements in centimeters. So I said, hey, my feet, they're 26 centimeters long. They needed the instep. So my forefoot is 9.5 centimeters wide, 26 centimeters long. They needed the ball. All right, so my ankle's 24 centimeters. They said, yes, John Bristol was their first customer, their first sale. They're still new and they're doing their best to get started. They're going to be at the boot camp stitch down event in October. They will have a small table to display some of their crazy designs. That's amazing. So if you're going to the stitch down boot camp, which I highly recommend, they will be there. You can meet them in person. So I asked them a little bit more, some of the more intimate details into the behind the scenes on their company. They said this: every cut and every stitch is done by hand. They don't have any machines. The leather comes from different tanneries from Italy and Turkey. Soon they're going to be making some boots out of Horween leather. They're just a small group of people, 3 to 5 people, mostly family, making 5 to 7 pairs of boots per month. And the heritage of boot making goes way back to Georgia in the Tbilisi-Kutaisi area. It was full of skilled cobblers and shoemakers. But now nobody wants to make boots, and it's getting hard to find skilled people. They're now based out of New York City in Brooklyn. Oh, so they did have a store in Industry City, but not anymore. I asked them a little bit about the inspiration that goes behind their builds, and they told me that the inspiration comes from combining U.S. work boots style to European fashion boots and bringing that together. Well, I would say they have succeeded in that. He said in the USA every boot looks pretty much the same, and in Europe they lack that work boot toughness. So they wanted to implement some of the luxury leather work from luxury leather car interiors like Bentley and Aston Martin and implement that into the boots. They're building a boot and it very much looks like the interior of a Bentley. That's super cool. And then the other thing that they're really good at, which I've never really delved into myself, but they're really good at leather carving, where you actually you have carving tools. To my knowledge, you wet the leather, you wet the veg tan, and then you use carving tools to actually carve really intricate patterns into the leather. It's never something that I've been into personally, but they just do the most beautiful leather carving on their boots. It could take them up to 3 months to complete some jobs. Just insane, the amount of work they put into a pair. Let's take a look at their website. So it's handmade leather boot, crafted from their exclusive luxe leather, available in very limited quantity. And the boot on their website is the craziest looking pair that I've ever seen. It's a gray pair of boots with tons of leather carving all along the ankle and the shaft area and along the heel stack and along the boot strap on the vamp. It's just so crazy. I think that pair retails at about $3,000, $2,800, worth every penny because the amount of effort and time that they would have put into that pair. Yeah, a good month to 3 months. It's just unfathomable. They wouldn't have been able to do this in a factory lineup at all. No, this is hand work. This is hard work. Good on them for being able to produce something like this, because most boot makers could never. And looking at their website, they have a lot of really cool retro style boots, some Chelseas, some sport boots. They even do sneakers and loafers, comfort boots. But in my opinion, the sweet spot is their square toe, sort of Mad Max steampunk style of boot. They haven't named this style, but I see that they've done a lot of work like this, and it just resonates with me. I don't know. It just really strikes at my core. And John Bristol, the Happiness Carpenter, he also really loves this company and these people. And so I'm happy to be doing this video because I'm blown away by what they do. It's something so unique. It's so out of the ordinary. They definitely are outside of the box. They're doing work that's so intricate, colorful, imaginative. It's not just limited to boots. They do belts. They do custom leather wallets, which the sky's the limit on. They have fragrances, cherry, wood, vanilla, green fig. They do bracelets. They do handbags. They do necklaces. So they're really jacks of all trades. I can't tell you, like, I'm looking at these handbags. They're just crazy, the amount of detail that goes into these. They will fetch a pretty penny, I'll warn you, but again, when we're talking about hand-stitched, leather-carved, hand-painted work, you're paying for pieces of art that were rendered fully by the human hand and imagination. In closing, so what do I think about these boots? Wow. I mean, I don't know how to summarize it, because, you know, in recent years it was looking like we were about to enter a new era of Mad Max insanity with the apocalypse happening and everything. And what can I say? I'm happy to have these now, because if that does come to pass, well, I know which boots I'm reaching for. I'm reaching for my NANUCELLAs. All jokes aside, seriously, I'm joking. Don't take me seriously. This is a really talented company. Their services would definitely be useful on a film set, specifically sci-fi, specifically dystopian future, things like that. These people are visual arts experts, and I can tell that just by looking at everything that they do. They not only have the skill, but they have the vision to sort of create a look that doesn't exist yet, if that makes sense. They can take an idea and create a piece of footwear or a bag or a belt that doesn't exist yet and make it a reality. Give them the detail that you want and the situation and the context, and through artistry could conjure up something like this. I'm impressed. I'm going to be doing a follow-up video because, trust me, I'm going to be wearing these, and I'm going to be doing a patina update once these are fully broken in, and once they're fully put through the ringer, I'll do an update video on these and release that. But so far, I have to say, I'm just utterly blown away. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I obviously had to edit the living crap out of it to get all the visuals in, but I really appreciate you sticking around, because NANUCELLA is really doing something special. I can't emphasize that enough. I'm blown away by what they're doing. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. Huge thanks to them for doing what they do, because they fill a niche that I don't see anybody else really doing. With that, I'll shut it down. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Dale of Dale's Leatherworks. As always, leave me your comments in the comment section below, and leave me a like as well. I always appreciate that. It helps feed the algorithm, which I'm in desperate need of help with these days. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see y'all in my next video.